Welcome to the After the Noise podcast. I'm Dr. Jen Bradley, licensed psychologist, and this is where we talk about everything your GLP-1 is changing besides the number on the scale. Today I want to talk about something that catches almost every woman by surprise on this journey, and it has nothing to do with food, appetite, or the scale. You started this medication expecting your body to change. What nobody told you is that you might change. Your priorities, your habits, what you're willing to tolerate, how you spend your time, even how you think about yourself. And somewhere along the way, you may have noticed an uncomfortable feeling that's hard to put into words. You don't quite feel like the person you used to be, but you don't fully feel like a new person either. The old version of you doesn't fit the same way anymore, and the new version hasn't fully formed yet. Psychologists have a name for this process. We call it identity reconstruction, which simply means adjusting to shifts in who you are, what matters to you, and how you see yourself. I call the place where it happens the space between, because that's exactly what it feels like. Standing between who you have been and who you are becoming, without firm footing in either one. If you've been feeling this, I want you to know two things. You're not imagining it, and nothing has gone wrong. Let me explain why this happens. For years, maybe decades, your identity was shaped around certain patterns. How you ate, how you coped, how you cared for everyone around you, how you met your body's needs for sleep, rest, and exercise, how you thought about your body, what you believed you deserved. Those patterns weren't random. They were reinforced by your family, your relationships, your roles, and a culture that taught you to put everyone else first. They became part of how you understood yourself. Then, the medication changed your physiology, and the patterns built on top of that physiology started to shift. When the patterns shift, the identity attached to them shifts too. That's why a medication you thought was about appetite ends up raising questions like, who am I if I'm not the one who always says yes? Who am I if I take up time for myself? Who am I if I actually believe I'm worth taking care of? Those are big questions, and here's the part I most want you to hear today. The discomfort that comes with them is normal. In fact, it's expected. We have a cultural story about growth that does women a tremendous disservice. Growth gets portrayed as exciting, inspiring, and empowering. All sunrise photos and motivational quotes. And sometimes it is. But in my clinical experience, growth is just as often awkward, uncertain, and uncomfortable. New behaviors feel unnatural at first. New boundaries feel uncomfortable. New priorities can stir up guilt. New ways of relating to yourself can feel so unfamiliar that part of you wants to retreat to the old patterns just because they're known. So when you go to bed earlier instead of finishing one more task for someone else, when you rest without earning it first, when you make time to exercise and the guilt creeps in, when you set a boundary and your stomach knots, when you catch yourself thinking, this isn't who I am, I want you to consider a different interpretation. That discomfort is not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It is very often evidence that you're doing something new. Pay attention to the thoughts that show up in the space between, because they tend to follow a pattern. Thoughts like, I can't do this. People won't like me if I change. I don't belong here. I'm being selfish. These thoughts almost always appear when growth starts. It starts challenging your long-standing beliefs and expectations, the ones you were handed long before you ever picked up the medication. They feel like truth in the moment. They're usually just old patterns protesting. And here's where your agency comes in, because you have more of it than the discomfort would have you believe. You can't control the fact that change feels uncomfortable. That's wiring, and it's universal. But you can control how you interpret the discomfort and what you do when it shows up. That distinction matters because the interpretation is where most women get stuck. They feel the discomfort, conclude something is wrong, and pull back from the very changes that were serving them. So here's what I'd like you to try this week. When a healthy change feels uncomfortable, when the new boundary or the earlier bedtime or the new habit makes you squirm, pause. Instead of asking, why does this feel so uncomfortable? Ask yourself a different question. What growth might this discomfort be pointing toward? That single shift in the question changes everything because it stops treating discomfort as an alarm and starts treating it as information. Discomfort around a boundary may be pointing toward your growing ability to protect your time and energy. Discomfort around rest may be pointing toward a deepening belief that you deserve care too. Discomfort around outgrowing old patterns may be pointing toward the person you're becoming, even though she doesn't fully feel familiar yet. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow patterns that no longer serve you. You are allowed to become someone who sleeps, rests, moves her body, and takes better care of herself, even if the people around you need time to adjust, and even if you need time to adjust. The goal was never to eliminate the discomfort. The goal is to recognize it as a normal companion of growth and to keep moving forward anyway, one uncomfortable, unfamiliar, worthwhile step at a time. New behaviors feel uncomfortable before they feel natural. New identities feel uncomfortable before they feel familiar. And the space between, as disorienting as it can be, is not a place you're stuck. It's a place you're passing through. If today's episode resonated and you'd like something more actionable, my KIT email newsletter is where I give you a roadmap, one step at a time. You'll find the link in the show notes. Before we go, a reminder that this podcast is educational. It is provided by Evolve Integrative Wellness and does not establish a professional relationship of any kind. If you're struggling and need support, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional in your area. You deserve personalized care from someone who can truly know your situation. I'm Dr. Jen Bradley, and this has been the After the Noise podcast. Until next time, be gentle with the woman you're becoming.